Welcome to another episode of Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded, where we focus on God, family, and country. You are here today with your hosts, Paris, Scott, and Shane. We have a guest with us today, Jeff Powers, who we're excited to have share with us his story as a prepper, as an operator, as somebody who knows what's going on in the economy and what's going on in the world right now, and has some things and great messages to share. We just want to remind everybody that right now, Jace Medical has offered a ivermectin. So with everything happening in the news and all the idea that these guys are going to try to bring stuff back, if you know what I mean, it's a good idea to have your supply of ivermectin. Make sure you have not only your supply of ivermectin, but your supply of antibiotics. Go to jacemedical.com, pick up your Jace case, pick up your daily medicines, by the way, and use Jace Medical. Recently put out an email to us that says, we are your off-grid pharmacy. So go to jacemedical.com and fill out the information there. Get your medicines, get your ivermectin, get your Jace case, your antibiotics, and use code PrepperTalk at checkout and get $10 off. Also want to just remind everybody that during any emergency, lights go out, emergencies happen, and the electricity's done, the lights go out, so you need to have lighting. We have a relationship with Devos Outdoor. I've had their Light Ranger light. It's absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend that you use that light on a regular basis. Get a couple of them to put them in your home. When the lights go out, you're going to want to have a light that can get up to the ceiling and then illuminate the whole room. And of course, flashlights are great, but this light, the Light Ranger, has a pole that it can telescope up to the top of the room and illuminate the whole room, which gives you a whole hands-free experience. If you go to Devos Outdoor, D-E-V as in Victor, O-S, outdoor.com, use code PTR, that's P as in Paul, T as in Tom, R as in Robert, 3.0 to get 10% off your order. All right, with that behind us, let's talk about Jeff Powers. Welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh,
tell us a little bit about what got you into prepping and what got you started as a prepper.
Man, thanks for having me. Actually, it's an honor to be here.
Welcome.
For real. Super thankful to be here. Man, prepping is something that is absolutely essential for Americans these days. Really more than Americans. But hey, so my wife and I, we live in a small town in East Texas. We actually have a couple of different properties, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. One's kind of a bug out property, but we live in a small town in East Texas, and power goes out quite often actually in East Texas. And one time it went out. So we actually use those types of things to kind of like, okay, the power's out now. What can we do? What can we cook? What can we drink? What can we do? What can we do? What can't we do? Really? But when that happened, a couple years ago, we realized, shoot, we've got some major deficiencies in our program here. So we need to figure this out. Within 30 minutes, in this little small town in East Texas, there's two different power grids. One of them went down, stayed down for 14 days. The other one was ours, and it was up. We had friends, family, members of the DA, sheriff's office coming to use our house to charge their phones, all that kind of stuff. But what happened is within 30 minutes in the town that we were in, within 30 minutes, there was no digital transactions. It was cash only everywhere. And so that really kind of opened our eyes and made us realize, okay, this could be a really serious situation across our nation within an hour of things going down. So we kind of we use those different scenarios when the power goes out, things like that, to just go through our stuff and say, what can't we do that we need to do? And I think that's a really good kind of just benchmark for people, because everyone has power outages. Just realize what you can't do during those times, and then probably duplicate that in the event that there's no power indefinitely, and see what you can.
I'm glad you brought that up, because there's so many people that are looking forward to, and they're not the preppers, but there's so many people that are looking forward to a cashless society. And I'm like, the insanity of that statement. And then you parallel that with what you've experienced. And I've experienced many of those same things. But having cash when the internet's down everywhere, great. I could still buy what I need. Mm-hmm. It forces the tellers to relearn math. And I'm having to walk them through it. They're like, okay, so $10.42, and you gave me $11.42. So I give you $2 back. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Right. But you've got to understand those things, and you got to carry cash, because you never know when the ATM readers are going down.
At least have a supply of it, and you're in a safe place, not a Liberty safe place.
Oh my gosh,
That's 100% true as of late.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great point. Cash is going to be necessary. Absolutely. We keep minimal cash in the bank, just enough to pay our bills. We all have seen kind of what's happening with the banking industry. So, I mean, we could talk about prepping and all the different kind of levels, and we could be here for a week and a half or 2 weeks, but every little thing, every detail matters. The devil's in the details, right? So you got to think about your cash. You got to think about your power. You got to think about the way you're going to cook. Do you have a little grate to put over a little fire pit to be able to cook some burgers or whatever you need? I mean, there's just, your checklist items are just, it's so much more than what the average people are thinking about, for sure.
So after that power outage, though, like, what was your first priority for you and Amy Jo? Like, were you like, okay, we got to get a backup system, and
or
Food
what?
storage, water storage, like what was the main?
Yeah, we did have a couple of few 100-gallon water tanks, but even filling up your bathtubs and your sinks and stuff like that, kind of as that's happening, because you're going to have water for a while. When the power goes out, fill up your bathtub, have some extra water over there, fill up your sinks, use it for something. That was I guess our first thing was like, okay, well, how are we we needed water was our first thing. And we realized I didn't have my tanks full. I had them sitting over on the side. And that was eye-opening.
right.
I had 1 5-gallon tank or little carrier of water that we used until the water came back, until we had our power and our stuff back on, because you're not going to heat your water. So it's just pretty interesting.
So that's a great lesson. You can buy a bunch of 55-gallon barrels or a bunch of things, but you have to fill them up before the emergency.
You do, and you have to know how to treat them, and things like that. You know your chlorine to water ratios and things like that, so you're not stuck with a bunch of moldy water you've had in these tanks for a while. Now you're going to get a bunch of E. coli and everything else from drinking your own water you got stored up. So it's important to realize what you really need, for sure.
So before that power outage, did you have any like food storage or preps like that, or did you do like Boy Scouts or anything like that?
Boy Scouts? No, man, I wish.
No,
I have so many friends that are like Eagle Scouts, and I'm like, oh, dang. But all right, Scott.
Yeah,
you got 3 right here.
We actually,
I dropped out.
I thought you were Eagle.
No,
but he's like, Shane's like,
Shane,
he's the Bert Gummer of our group. Like,
Shane can teach Eagle Scouts what to do.
He does. He teaches us all the time.
Anyway,
yeah.
Go.
No, that's awesome.
But you had food storage, you're saying?
That's correct. There's various ways to utilize, to gather your food storage. We actually, we have about, I'd say, 3 years worth of stuff right now. I'd say it's imperative to have at least 6 to 8 months worth of food storage. We utilize the what are called Bishop storehouses. Amazing resource, even if you're not part of that association. It is open to you a couple days a week, and you can really capitalize on some good stuff. And there's plenty of other places, Heaven's Harvest, Patriot, there's lots of places, but you really do need to think about, it's so important to have at least a 6 to 8 month supply of non-perishable stuff. Speaking of that, we have been prepping for, a few years. And so we bought canned goods early 2020, in the piles, in the pallets, almost, and here we are I'm sitting right now at our bug out property. And we find ourselves eating, expired cans of soup, to go through our inventory, so they're not wasted. So, I mean, for it's been 3.5 months we've been up here, and we're eating cans of soup and other things that we got in our inventory in 2020, so it's just important to be able to utilize what you have. Don't waste your resources.
I was going to say, you've got a good companion if she'll eat the expired food with you.
Oh my gosh.
clarification for everyone. If it's canned goods, it has an expiration date. I'm going to throw my air quotes up, or a best if used by
Best
date,
Buy,
right?
yeah.
Best by date. Those cans are designed to hold that food 8 to 10 years without spoilage. Now, if you're keeping it out in the garage and the garage gets 140 degrees, yeah, you're running some risks.
Yeah.
But if you can keep it cold, like, you're fine. Like, I eat expired canned goods all the time. Maybe that explains why I am the way I am, but it's,
And I'm overgeneralizing of most women, right? Most women who, if something expires or it's, it's out, I'm not using the thing, So,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
that was the biggest challenge when I got married. My wife's like, "Oh, this is bad. Throw it out." I'm like, "Bad? It's not expired." She's like, "Well, it's expired. It's gone." I had to teach her the whole. It took months to teach her that process. It was. Now she's
Unless
good.
it's like
But
milk.
that's awesome.
Even
Your
then,
wife's just like,
there's a barrier to get past.
mhm.
Yeah, it was less than best if used by taste. I can tell you that. Yeah, but it's okay. Yeah, Amy Jo's a trooper. She's like, we're not wasting dollars. We're not wasting dollars.
Like that.
She
That's
keeps me.
awesome.
Yeah. She. It wasn't that bad. I think it was some kind of chunky soup. It was real chunky. Just stirred a lot. But it was worth it. I mean, it's
It was extra chunky.
yeah. It didn't. I'm none the worse for wear for it, I think.
So you're
I
practicing.
feel like those
That's
chunky
cool. 'cause
soups
that's
are the ones that don't last the best either. Like if you just have like a can of beans, I don't know what it is. Those things will last a good 15 years. I don't know why, but like the more ingredients you start adding, the less time you've got on those cans.
Definitely. The more pure the ingredients, the longer she's going to last. That's for sure.
Well, there's certain things in there that don't last as long as the other thing, and so you're really only as weak as the old adage that you're only weak as your weakest link in the chain. The food storage is only as good as the shortest amount of food in that particular bag or can or box or whatever. So I just really appreciate that you share there that you literally are going through and practicing these scenarios, like you're eating the food that you have had in your can, in your food storage, to rotate, number one, but also just to practice eating food that has got some level of expiration and getting not only your gut used to it, but your palate used to that kind of thing. Because when the crap hits the fan, and that's all you have, you're already going to have some experience having gone through eating it, just even when things are going well. And that's something that I think that people need to really do more of, is that, whether it's a day or a week, or if it's just, something, it's just an experience, practice something. Practice. What if this, power goes out? Practice, like do it for an hour or two or three. What if you can't get to the food because the neighborhood's, busted up and you can't get through to the roads to the grocery store? Eat. What can you eat? Do it for a day and see what you can do. And those are good things to practice. So I appreciate you sharing that. Now, what you said you had a couple of properties, a bug out property, and you're on it right now. So what do you got there?
So speaking of practicing scenarios, we've already talked. I mean, we have kind of a strategic plan that's always, it evolves obviously, but when our stuff goes out in East Texas, we got to be able to get to this other property in an efficient way, and we need to be able to have everything we need there. So at this particular place, I've recently just leveled a major place for a greenhouse, dug out a huge spot for a root cellar, and we'll be back in Texas for the winter. But it's my plan to have some of those things kind of sewn up before we head out of here. But it is really essential to just kind of have a plan about, okay, so say we're stuck in Texas for a certain amount of time. Do we have what we need here? How are we going to get from here to there to where we need to be? And what's it going to look like when we get there? So those are all extremely important plans to have in place with your family. And also, there's one point I would like to kind of bring up about that. I have a really great friend. He's a 20-year Air Force veteran. Now he's still civilian contract in the military. We were just talking about this the other day. So many folks are proud of their prepping, and you should be excited and proud of your prepping. But the more you share with the people around you, the more opportunity you're giving them to find you when they need food and when they need water or whatever they need. So we had a really good long conversation about, hey, your neighbors, if they know that you're prepped out with food and water and weapons and stuff, they're coming. It doesn't matter how long that you've been great neighbors and all of that. You've got to have a plan, and you got to have a strict plan for your family and how you're going to do it. For us, it's parents and kids. We can't sustain more than that for a long period of time. It's our parents and our kids. And if you don't, and so my point is, if you're loud about that, those people are coming. We even talked about, he's never been in archery or into archery, but he said, I really want to get into archery because, and I am. And he said, because I don't want to be firing off gunshots at people. I don't want to do, I mean, I need to be able to handle things in a quiet, silent way. That's not going to attract more people to where we are. And we were talking about that, and I did exactly what Paris just did. I was laughed, and I was like, you are 100% correct, because if they hear where there's assets, they're coming.
Mm-hmm. So, that's a great point.
And our bug out property is not easy to get to, and it's off the beaten path, and so it's close enough to some things that we can access things, but it's pretty far out of the way and out of sight. So also important.
Well, that's something that's really big to think about ahead of time, because, you know, let's say you get a knock at the door and it's your next door neighbor. Let's just say the husband, you know, something happened and he's not around, and it's the wife and their kids, and they're like, we're destitute, we have nothing. What are you going to tell them? Like, you got to plan for that emotionally, spiritually, like physically. You got to plan for that ahead of time and run that scenario in your head. Are you going to let them in because you know that you're their only hope, and let that kind of detract from your personal family's resources? Or are you going to be able to say, okay, because there's ways to bring people in as long as they can add value, and maybe you can work a deal with them and they're adding value to the scenario. But if they're not going to add value to the scenario, you got to be careful, because you don't want your resources to be robbed by others. You want to have it for your family.
Okay, you guys have probably heard of the TV show Yellowstone. There's like a prequel to it. Do you guys remember? You guys see the prequel show series?
1883.
Yeah, 1883, and it had Tim McGraw in it. And there was a line in that movie. There's a scene in that show that I was just like, oh, that hits the nail on the head. He basically, he's taking his family from like Missouri, or no, he's like, yes, I think St. Louis, Missouri, and he's taking his family, and they're going to go to Oregon. But long story short, his daughter dies, and so they stop in Montana, and that's where he settles, because that's where she's buried, right? But on the way, he's got a wife, and he's got a daughter and a son, and he kind of partners up with this other group that they're all from like Norway, and they're trying to get to Oregon. And the guide that's taking them is also asking him to, like, at one point, hey, we've already cut our rations down and we're sharing with them to help them. He's like, will you do that? And he goes, that's not part of the deal. And they're like, what do you mean? And he goes, what's theirs is theirs, what's mine is mine. That's not part of the deal. I have a responsibility to my family, to my wife, to my kids. And he's just like, that's not negotiable. And I'm like, and he even comes up with other solutions, like, oh, well, you've also got the cattle, you could cut one of those out. And they're like, well, we need that to be able to. I'm like, yeah, dude, like, it would be nice to be able to just say, yeah, let me share with everybody. But like, if I'm putting my family in jeopardy, and this is where most preppers sit, like, if you put your family in jeopardy to try to save somebody else's, like, how do you live with yourself?
It's a disservice.
That's hard.
It's a hard line to hold, but you, as a man, a real man in America, not what they want us to all be now. You really have to be willing to draw that hard line, and that includes other women and children.
Yeah,
people you may know. That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough for a lot of folks. I say just get amazingly spirit-filled and just start multiplying your food.
Bingo.
That was my next suggestion, right?
Yeah.
Jesus did it.
Throw down some Elijah.
Yes.
There you go.
I mean,
the widow Nain.
Hey, That's right.
So
but there are going to be some hard realities. Absolutely.
Jeff, I know you've got a career that expands. It's a lot of things, but right now you have one of your things that you do is you're kind of an operator, bodyguard guy. What, if somebody comes to the door and they're a man and they're demanding that you share and you've got to get into a physical altercation, speak to a little bit the importance of training and having the ability to defend yourself. Speak a little bit to that for us for a minute.
Well, every man has the responsibility to be the best that they can be for their family, their loved ones, and the people in their circle. So it is really imperative to be able to know how to handle an altercation that will or could escalate to a physical altercation. Now, I've found that almost all of, in this scenario that you're talking about, it could very well escalate to a physical altercation. So in the job that I have, it's important for me to stay as physically elite as I can. And I'm 42, so that's becoming increasingly more
challenging.
Difficult.
A little harder every year.
I'm in my prime. Yeah, absolutely. I tell my wife all the time, "Hey, babe, I'm in my prime for sure." And she gracefully agrees, so that's amazing. But there's some different things you can do. I've done some different some Israeli kind of Krav Maga stuff. That's for immediate getting out of a situation and being gone. That's to punish whoever is coming at you and then be out of the situation. Is to de-escalate it as fast as possible. In my line of work, in some of the situations that I've been in, a lot of folks think, even as men, they think, well, we need to take this on and head on this. Like if there's a situation coming, they think we need to hit this on and get rid of the situation. In our line of work, that's actually the opposite of what you're supposed to do. We're protecting an asset. We need to disengage as fast as possible and protect our asset and get the heck out of town. But when you're when they're coming to your door, you really do need to be able to, dad bods are the norm, but they're not the greatest, so you really need to have some physical ability to defend yourself, your family, your kids, and things like that. Even if it's just, an online situation where you can practice or just staying in shape with push-ups and sit-ups. When we're up here, I don't have a gym to go to, I don't have a gym. So I'm either running the mountain or doing push-ups and sit-ups to keep myself able to take care of my family. So that's a great point, Paris. I think that's really important to be a good steward of what the Lord's given you to be able to take care of the people that he's given you. So
I think that's one of the most overlooked part of prepping for most people is the physical fitness side of it.
Yeah.
Right. And then also they'll get too far into like, oh, I got guns will take care of it. But they don't think about like the de-escalation and understanding psychology and just the words you use and how you speak, like how you can de-escalate bad situations.
Yes.
And that's safer, right? You want like I'm a big fan of Krav Maga. I did Krav Maga for years. And the thing about it is it's like, if you see a problem, you get out of there. Like you don't engage if you don't have to, but if you're engaged, the whole idea is destroy them as fast as you can, enough that they can't do anything, and then get out of there before any more damage comes.
Disable the opponent and just, do your own thing. Be gone.
Yeah. Oh man. And people just don't think about it that way. They're like, oh, I'm going to stay in this fight until the fight's over. It's like, no, you don't. Nope. The longer you're in the fight, the more damage you're going to have.
Sustain.
Yeah. You're going to sustain more, whether it's damage to your hands from hitting somebody or damage that like they get a knife in your ribs. Like, come on, guys, like get out of there, like, and stay fit. So you can't run away if you're 300 pounds on a 5'2" body. Like that's just not going to work. They're going to catch you.
It's true. Yep. That's true. Paris, that was a good question.
Well, guns and ammo are really important. And that's the other kind of precious metal that we talk about is the lead and brass. But, the reality is that you have to remember that if you're going to use a gun, that's fatal. That can be life altering, and not just for the person that you shoot, but yourself. Like, I've never had to shoot anybody, but I can't imagine what it would be like that you literally just took a life. I know it was in defense, self-defense, absolutely, all that can be justified, but there's still that mental and emotional trauma that you don't, if you can de-escalate and do a little, haya, sis boomba, a little krav maga, whatever, and you get somebody out of, and they realize, oh, I'm backing off, then you don't have to worry about the emotional, spiritual, and the other aspects of taking someone's life if things escalate. Now, of course, you have to defend your family, and if it's to bloodshed, that's their choice to take it that far, and you just respond. But you got to remember that bullets bullets should be the last resort answer to that kind of an altercation. The first resort should be verbal, and then second resort, a little physicality if you need to, subduing them, getting them to a point where they're like, hey, bro, I'm stopped. You have a decision to make. The next, what happens in your life, choose your next words carefully, kind of a thing. And then hopefully they choose to walk away. But I think it's important to remember that. So
yes, please. Yeah. De-escalation is, learn the art of it too, because it is an art and you can really get good at it. But in the words of Jack Reacher, remember, you asked for this.
I love that show.
Yeah. Yeah.
The movies sucked compared to the series. Yeah.
The series was really good. I can't wait for the second season to come out. Speaking of that,
yeah, we're not all John Wicking it out here. That's for sure. That is the absolute opposite of what we need to be doing, for sure. Although, love the series, one of my favorites.
Let's do a quick commercial break. Just talk a little bit about our sponsors. We have Jeff just mentioned that he's building a greenhouse. Shane has his greenhouse. In order to have, if you're gonna have a greenhouse, you got to have seeds to be able to grow the things that you're looking for. So we highly recommend Survival Garden Seeds. Check out in the description below, Survival Garden Seeds. We've had them on the show, so check back a couple episodes. You'll find we had Survival Garden Seeds on the show. They have all kinds of seeds for all kinds of different gardens. It's important to learn how to grow your own food and to be self-reliant and be sustainable food systems there. So make sure you go to Survival Garden Seeds and check the link in the description below in order to order your Survival Garden Seeds. Also, we talked about precious metals just a minute ago, and lead and brass being a precious metal, but we also have gold and silver as a precious metal. So if you have any desire to add gold and silver to your portfolio, please hit up ITM Trading. That's our Prepper Talk. Actually, the link is learn.itmtrading.com/Prepper Talk Radio. Or you can call 1-866-257-0481 for a free consultation. That's 1-866-257-0481. Call today to get a free consultation on whether or not you can add gold and silver to your portfolio. All right, now back to the show.
So can we pivot? I want to pivot. So we've talked a little bit about like your background, your experience, things that got you into prepping, but I want to hear more about this thing you're doing now with creating your own parallel economy. I feel like that's something that more and more people need to be doing now because, we've all jumped on it. But it's one of those things. It's like, you can keep going the way that it's going and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse with the big boxes and the 9 companies that own everything. It seems like when you go down to the grocery stores or the
really too,
stores,
like BlackRock and Vanguard, it all goes up that way. But yeah.
Right.
That's right.
But they're all debt companies. Like, they're just carrying all this debt. And so when it comes down to it, BlackRock and Vanguard and whoever else is pulling the strings can tell them what to do. And they're just like, okay.
100%. ESG scores, baby.
Power to it. And so
that's right.
So tell us a little bit about like what you're doing, the Patriot Switch and other things. Like, let's jump on that.
Yeah. Well, for a few years now, across our country, the Patriot realm, you've heard people saying, hey, we absolutely need a parallel economy or a parallel society, really, for law enforcement, for military, even for banking, for food supply, for household goods across the board. And we need to get out of the situation that we've allowed to happen here in the U.S. So we have actually totally jumped on board with that. We hooked up with an American manufacturer through a movement called Patriot Switch. And it is exactly that. We offer patriots the opportunity to switch their shopping away from the CCP, the BlackRock Vanguard owned stores, Walmart, Target, CVS, Kroger, for all of the in the area of household goods. Right now, our team alone has helped, in the last 2 years, has helped over 400,000 patriots move their shopping to our American manufacturer.
Wow.
That's a lot. We are
That's
the
huge.
fastest growing patriot movement in the United States right now. Bar none.
I knew it was big. I had no idea it was that big.
I heard a
And for those of
statistic
you guys
like
who've been
every
following us for a little while, we've been talking about it a little bit at a time, but like it, I love shopping this way because now I know I'm getting stuff that's not going to try to kill me from companies that actually, a company that cares about me versus companies that could do,
Yep.
they're trying to kill me anyways. Right. But
They are. They really are. That's the sad reality. Like it's disgusting. The matter of fact, the CEO of this American manufacturer that we're all referencing in and are all partners in 2012 was listed by the Obama administration as the number 8 most dangerous conservative in the nation. Why? Because he wouldn't sell out. He would not sell out his company. And so they're completely debt free. They can treat their employees better than any company I've ever seen. They can, they are amazing. So actually there's some video footage of Frank Vandersloot, the CEO, addressing when Obama actually came out that way. And he said that every time somebody brings it up to him or he gets called out on the thing, he's going to donate $100,000 to a large conservative or Republican movement, and he did. And he donated millions of dollars to fight the title that he just got from the Obama administration. So I'm excited about that. I think that's really great. It really does offer folks the opportunity to stop driving down the street and turning left into Walmart and turning right into Target, wasting your gas getting there, overbuying when you're there because that's what they're there for. And not only that, those companies, they have a 98% monopoly on all of the products you see in our mainstream stores in the Western Hemisphere.
wow.
How do we get out of that? No wonder they can buy and cheat and steal and run our lives because we're funding them. They can create horrible, toxic products all day long and kill people and make people sick and bring them to the hospital. And they can just settle out of court time after time and time again because why? Because all of us are buying that are funding. We're funding them. And some people
we're voting with our dollars. Now, one of the things that I think was really exciting is that they're also American distribution. So all the manufacturing, the bottle right down to the bottles, the packaging, it's all stuff that's here in America. So that if there is a supply chain issue, let's say that right now with all the things that are happening in the world, we're seeing potential for supply chain issues from China. We're seeing potential. One of the things that Jace Medical, actually, we referenced them earlier, they're saying that a lot of the medicines that we're going to be seeing could be affected because they can't get ships through different, the Panama Canal was cut off recently or at least had a huge backlog. There's like hundreds of ships waiting to get through. So with everything being local in the distribution system, you're not going to have to worry about whether or not you can get the products.
That's right.
And that's something that's huge as well. Like you're literally supporting American manufacturing, American distribution, American jobs, good high quality products. And what I was most excited, and everybody knows that listens this knows I'm a financial guy, and I love making sure that finances are right. I compared pricing, and I was actually extremely impressed to see that the pricing was lower or equal to things that I was already buying. And I was like, oh, easy. I'll switch easy. Like this is going to be easy decision for me and my family.
Yeah, absolutely. They learned that during COVID. Because they were outsourcing bottling and packaging for some of their stuff, and then they had to send products to people who were ordering them in all kinds of weird different packaging. So they learned that, and they brought all of their packaging and bottling back to the U.S. And so that's exactly right. When there's supply chain issues coming for most of the places that people are buying stuff, you're still going to be able to get that stuff coming to your door, the stuff that you need in your house on a monthly basis. Yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about,
That's awesome.
volume of products and stuff like that, but the entire big picture is that they're set up to be able to handle crises, and they're scaled. They've been around for 38 years now. They're scaled across our whole country. There's 3 large manufacturing plants in the U.S. and 1 in Canada. A lot of Patriots up in Canada, just so you know. They're not in, they're not subject to the cleanup there as much as we think they are. So, I guess
That's awesome.
the king. Yeah,
No,
The
well, now
king,
Yeah. Now it's long live the king, the corrupt king.
Woo.
Garbage.
Yes.
Charles.
Well, Fidel's error up there is just not doing a good job, and there's a lot of Patriots that are they're just doing a great job in Canada. So
We have listeners. Yeah, we have listeners in Canada. So if you're listening and you're from Canada,
This is for you.
give us a fist bump or something.
Yeah, give
That's
us
Throw a
a
leaf in the comments below.
give us a hey. I want that.
Hey,
Yeah.
So just so you know, if you guys are interested in learning more about our what we've switched as Patriots to this parallel economy, this company that's offering these great products that are American owned, in the description you'll see a link to patriotswitch.com/prepper talk. If you fill out that form requesting more information, it'll ask for your phone number and email and all that. We'll actually call you and talk to you. And so if you like, it's funny because I called somebody the other day and they're like, I recognize your voice. Where do I know your voice from? I'm like, I'm with Prepper Talk Radio. I'm the host. She's like, oh my gosh, I listen to you guys all the time. Yes, you're the guy that I listen to. I'm like, yes, I'm the guy you listen to. Anyways, it was funny. And if you're listening, I can't remember your name right now. I'm sorry, but thank you for continuing to listen and receiving the phone call. Anyways,
Yeah,
good stuff.
absolutely. Yeah, you guys, there's nothing like it. And you were going to say something a few minutes ago, Paris, about the statistic of how many shoppers there are. And that is every 47 seconds in the United States and Canada, another person moves their shopping to our manufacturer. I mean, that is exponential growth. That's huge. Every 47 seconds, someone's moving their shopping over, which means, and by the way, the average shopper with this company is nearly 150 months in a row. So that's like 12 and a half years. And you're not going to shop from a company for 12 and a half years if their products are bad, their customer service is terrible. You're not going to shop for them for 2 weeks if that's the case. You're just not going to do it. So it's the real deal. It's vetted. It's Patriot owned. They love the America. They love the Lord. It's the real deal for sure.
I got a box just
so
today.
You mentioned the owner, Frank Vandersloot, a while ago. The funny thing about Frank is he actually bought my great grandma's ranch up in Idaho.
That's
and
incredible.
His company, they actually create the largest 4th of July fireworks display west of the Mississippi.
That's true.
Nobody
I was there
west of the
just
Mississippi.
in July.
You were there the last one? I was there. The last one I went to was it's been 6 years, but it's amazing.
It's
so
the
if you guys
town
get a
of
chance
Idaho
to go to Idaho
Falls.
Falls, Idaho for the 4th of July, and just man, you could see that thing from everywhere. But
It's amazing.
Thank you so much for being on. Like this is
it's my pleasure.
something that's it's funny because it's new to me. I mean, I've been buying through this program for probably 3.5 months now. But every time I get in my box, I get a little smile. I get a little happy inside. You can see on my face that I'm like, oh, it's here. And I use all the products. I test them all out. I've never been happy about stuff I'm buying like I am consistently with this. And part of that giddiness is knowing that I'm not contributing to the monster that's trying to kill us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm actually helping my brothers and sisters here in America and in Canada that are just trying to do their jobs and feed their families and do it the right way and take care of each other. And that's, for me, that's my plug of why I love doing this. And I do save a little bit of money, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we're actually taking our country back a laundry detergent, a deodorant, a toothpaste, a cleaning supply at a time. And that is how you do it. We're voting with our dollars. I mean, we found out that our votes don't really count as much as we thought they did. What are we going to do about that? Well, we're gonna hit them in the pocketbook. We're going to stop funding them.
Yep.
That's what we're doing.
What's funny?
Yeah, we're killing their lobbyists. It's amazing.
What's funny, Scott, is that you mentioned that you get a little bit of giddy. Actually, when I opened up my box this last time, and there was this piece of cardboard that says, "Take a moment to enjoy the absolute joy that you're about to, take a moment to consider the joy that you're about to feel as you open this box." And I was like, it was right there. I opened the box and it was like telling me to take a moment to just enjoy this moment as you open this box of goodies. And I was like, that's so cool. That's so cool. Well, you know what?
They must have hired some hippies there. That's awesome. I'm glad. See, they're all inclusive.
Yeah, amen to that. Well, let's wrap up the show, everybody. Thanks for being on and listening. Thanks, Jeff, for coming on. We're sad we didn't get to talk to Amy Jo a little bit, but maybe the next time you guys are on, we'll have her on and have her share her story a little bit as well.
Oh my
I want to just remind you guys that no matter if you don't join us in what we've chosen to do for the parallel economy, find something, please, for crying out loud. Get your money out of the bank accounts of these Chinese communist parties and these elites, and get your money into the pocketbooks and the businesses that are out there that need it, that are American made, American manufactured, they're supporting conservative values. So you have been listening to Prepper Talk Radio for the ready-minded, where we focus on God, family, and country. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.
Thanks. See you next week.